Hi, fifth grade. Welcome to week 4 of your online learning paths for math. This week, we are going to learn about 2D shapes, and I'm really excited for you guys. But first, let's remember that if you are working on an iPhone or tablet, please download the Google Slides app. It will make this all a lot easier. So during the week 4, you need to complete your math video, complete all of the slides for each day, complete your group learning path, and complete your iReady lessons. Don't forget about that. The standards and objectives for this week are going to be these standards that you see here, and our objective is that I can identify and classify polygons, including the attributes of quadrilaterals. We're going to learn what those words are in a minute. I also want you to be able to complete the learning path and ask for help if you need it. All right, so let's learn a little bit about 2D shapes. We're going to watch this video, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the attributes of polygons.
Tri is a prefix, that means 3. Triangles have 3 sides like a sail on the sea. Quad, a prefix, that means 4. Quadrilaterals have 4 sides like a door. Penta is a prefix, that means 5. Pentagons have 5 sides like a school's on the walk sign. Hexa, a prefix, that means 6. Hexagons have 6 sides like a bolt we twist.
Tri means 3 and quad means 4. Penta means 5 and hexa means 6.
Hepta is a prefix that means 7. Heptagons have 7 sides like Orion in the heavens. Octa is a prefix that means 8. Octagons have 8 sides like a stop sign shape. Nah is a prefix that means 9. Nonagons have 9 sides like a Y on a road sign. Deca, a prefix that means 10. Decagons have 10 sides like a starfish in the ocean.
Hepta means 7. Octa means 8. Mona means 9 and deca means 10.
Try, 3, 1, 4. Penta, 5. Hexa, 6. Hepta, 7. Octa, 8. Nona, 9. Deca, 10.
Tri means 3, quad means 4, penta means 5, and hexa means 6. Hepta means 7, octa means 8, nona means 9, and deca means 10. Tri means 3, quad means 4, penta means 5, and hexa means 6. Hepta means 7, octa means 8, nona means 9, and deca means 10. What shape is this?
Triangle,
What shape is this?
quadrilateral,
What shape is this?
pentagon,
What shape is this?
hexagon,
What shape is this?
heptagon,
What shape is this?
octagon,
What shape is this?
nonagon,
What shape is this?
decagon.
Tri means 3, quad means 4, penta means 5, and hexa means 6. Hepta means 7, octa means 8, nona means 9, and deca means 10. Tri means 3, quad means 4, penta means 5, and hexa means 6. Hepta means 7, octa means 8, nona means 9, and deca means 10.
2 less things before we go. A polygon has to have straight sides, you know, and a polygon has to be a close shape. The vertices and sides can't have any breaks. So is this a polygon? No. But is this a polygon?
Yeah.
Visit number octa.
All right, everyone. So through our video, we just learned about different kinds of polygons. Let's remember that polygons always have a certain amount of sides or edges. These sides might be different lengths or they might be equal. So equal sides is the same thing as congruent slides. This word congruent means equal. So a square has 4 equal sides, which means that a square has 4 congruent sides. Let's remember that word congruent. And let's remember from last week that we learned about parallel lines. Those lines are lines in a plane that never intersect. They're the same distance apart at every point and they never intersect. We're going to see how shapes like squares in this one have 2 pairs of parallel lines. The lines on the sides are never going to touch or intersect, even if they kept going and kept going. And the lines on the top and bottom are never going to intersect. Those are 2 pairs of parallel lines. Vertices. Vertices is a point where 2 or more straight lines meet. So when 2 or more straight lines meet in a little point, that is called a vertice. A triangle has 3 vertices. A right angle, as we learned last week, is an angle that forms a square corner and has a measure of 90 degrees. So we can see that in a triangle, that angle is not quite right. It is smaller than a square angle. But in a square, we can see there are 4 right angles. All 4 of these angles are 90 degrees and are the same exact thing as when 2 perpendicular lines run into each other, like a book has a nice square corner. That is a right angle. This week, you're going to do work with classifying polygons and understanding exactly what different shapes have in terms of parallel sides, congruent sides, right angles, vertices. Let's remember all of these terms and go back to this video if you need help. All right, everyone, so we're going to be looking at different shapes and classifying them according to their characteristics. This is an equilateral triangle. That means all the sides are congruent. Remember, congruent means the same length. So I'm going to write that there are 3 sides, 3 congruent sides, and 3 angles. This is an obtuse triangle. I'm going to write obtuse triangle because one of the angles is actually not a right angle. It's a little bit bigger than that book edge. You see how it goes off a little bit? That means it's obtuse. This is an obtuse triangle. I'm going to write that there are 3 sides. There are no congruent sides because they're all not the same length. And there are 3 angles. This is an acute triangle. I'm going to write an acute triangle because all of the angles are smaller than 90 degrees. They are not right angles. They are smaller than a book angle. So there are going to be 0 right angles, but 3 angles. This is a polygon. That's called an octagon. It's called an octagon because there are 8 sides. An octagon has 8 sides. It also has 8 vertices, remember the point where 2 straight lines meet, and 8 angles. This is close to an octagon, but you've got to count all the sides. There are actually 7 sides, so it's called a septagon. I might have spelled that wrong. There are 7 sides in a septagon, 7 vertices, and 7 angles. This shape has 5 sides. That makes it a pentagon. It has 5 sides, 5 vertices, and angles. This shape, you should all recognize easily, is a square. It has 2 sides that are the same length and another 2 sides that are the same length as those. So there are 4 congruent sides. It also is made up of 4 right angles, and 2 of those sides, see how I'm measuring it with the book edge? Those are 4 right angles, and 2 of the sides are parallel. Two pairs are parallel. This can also be called a parallelogram because there are two pairs of parallel sides. Now this is another type of parallelogram. Remember, parallelograms are shapes that have two pairs of parallel lines. This had two pairs of parallel lines. There are four angles, but you can see that they are smaller or bigger than right angles, so there are no right angles. This shape can also be called a quadrilateral because quadrilateral are shapes with four sides. This is another quadrilateral. It's called a trapezoid. A trapezoid has four sides, but you can see that two of those sides are not going to be parallel because look, they run into each other. So only those top and bottom ones are a pair of parallel sides. You can tell that it has four angles or four vertices, but they're not right angles. And this could be called a quadrilateral or a polygon. A polygon is any type of shape, remember. This shape is called a rhombus, or you might think it looks like a diamond. It has four sides and two pairs of parallel sides. That means that the top and bottom are parallel and the sides are parallel. There are no right angles in a rhombus though. Another name for it is a parallelogram because there are two pairs of parallel sides. And this is a rectangle. Now, a rectangle is not the same thing as a square, but it is a parallelogram because there are four sides. The sides on the side are parallel. The sides on the top are parallel, so there are two pairs of parallel sides, which makes it a parallelogram. You can tell that it has four right angles too, because they matched up with the book. It's a parallelogram. All right, so now we're going to classify these shapes as either quadrilaterals or another type of polygon. Look at how a hexagon has more than four sides. But a square and a trapezoid have four sides. So do parallelograms. They have four sides. They're quadrilaterals. Pentagon, five sides, not a quadrilateral. All of those are another type of polygon or another type of shape. Rhombus is a quadrilateral. Obtuse triangle, not. And rectangle is a quadrilateral. All right, scholars, have a great week with your math learning path.